Okay, all right. It's a big day. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Welcome aboard.
Okay, so, it happened. So, the book has been, my new book has been approved by Amazon. It is now, the link is now out there. I added the link to this video. So if you're watching this after the fact, the video link is down below. No, that sounds silly. I've done a bunch of these. I've done a bunch of books now. And between the RP Comics, Runciman Press, we call it RP Comics now. Originally it was Runciman Press, but then it became about more than just me. So we switched it to RP Comics. So, you know, to represent, you know, everybody under that was being published under it. You know, and we've done, this is the 74th project that we've put out. And I'm pleased. I'm really happy, and I'm really appreciative of all the help that I had to do it. And yet at the same time, this is the first time that I've put it out online. And all the books we did before this were regional. And 75th. This is our 75th book. Wow. We got another book that's being printed for release right now as well, and that's Frog Bucket, Bucket of Frogs, by Mr. Tim Fraser here in London, and I'm really excited to have been able to been a help on putting that book together with Tim, and Tristan's doing all the formatting now, and Yahoo! You know, so there's lots of good things happening here. Here in the Habla it runs a man, you know. So, yeah, good stuff. But big day, big news. So I've been sort of scrambling to make sure I get links out everywhere that I can as soon as I can, because I thought there was going to be, okay, it's cleared for Amazon. When's your release date? And I could say tomorrow, and then that way to spend tonight putting together all the stuff and all the links and all the things and promoting everywhere. And no, I just said, hey, you're on. So it's on. But again, I appreciate anybody that's expressed interest in that, and anybody that's going to be looking that up. It's super keen, super cool. You know, we'll get on to today's page in a second, but there's this is the proof that I've shown here on the stream. It won't have the gray band on the finished book, but I can show you a little more of what's going on in here in detail in just a few moments. But before we get into that, let's do this, and that is show today's page. So today's page is the one that I drew yesterday in ballpoint pen, called Zimmer, and the suggestion was from Marguerite. It was Zimmer from the future. And I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm so contrarian. Somebody says something about, you know, I do advanced sci-fi stories for things that don't have advanced sci-fi stories in the suggestion at all. And then when somebody says someone from the future, I draw oil drilling platforms instead of outer space or sci-fi future. But in my head, you know, I always see these big industrial construction sites, and I always think that looks like such futuristic, you know, dystopian architecture to me. Like it's so foreign to me, in that in the sense that it doesn't look like contemporary to the world that at least I know. And so because of that, I represent that as, you know, the future, and the crazy wrenches and tools that they put around those pipes as they're turning those and adding you know, extension pipes and so on and so forth. They all look like space age doodly-doos, you know. And I think that, you know, when you look at all this sort of, you know, projected future technologies and stuff like that, you gotta figure they're gonna have these gigantic wrenches and things that as they're fixing these big spaceships. So, that's the real allure for me, is on all these oil drilling platforms and all these things. They got these crazy kinds of tools that I've never seen otherwise, and I just think that's super keen. So today's page, the light blue tone is, so there's the blue pen that I drew everything in, but I put that light blue tone in there underneath as well, just to give it a little more depth, a little more volume. And this was fun. This was fun. I love drawing in pen. I draw in pen all the time. And whenever I'm sketching and stuff like that, it's generally in pen or colored pencil. And I killed 3 pens in the making of this page. I just, for some reason, kept coming across, I kept finishing pens off as I was doing this. It was just pens that are all in their last leg. And three pens that were just pretty much, one I just found was done. Let's be honest, I didn't kill off 3. I killed 2 off, and I found a third one. It was just dried out. But so this is a good page for cleaning up the studio. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, let's. I got a little bit more of a show for you today. Now, ideally, is that a little better? Is that a little better? Is that a little better? There we go. So, took the glare off the book. Now, does that put the glare back on? Yeah. So, ideally with this project, I really wanted to. Is that? Yeah, that works a little bit better. So, what I really want to do with this project is for it to fit the format of regular shelves, so that the book sits upright on a shelf, and the title and the name sit upright on the shelf. But the image ideally encourages people to turn it on its side. Now, I've heard some people say that they don't like books binded this way. This book's not for them. But when I set it up, and I put a little primer at the very beginning of the book, how each page is... Oh, this phone call from Maryland, Georgia. I don't know anybody in Maryland, Georgia. So thanks for the call. Turn that volume right off. So what I did in the primer page is I set it up so that here's how the book is laid out. There are samples of the original art on the sides. There's the finished page right here. Underneath that is what the suggestion was that went into for the page, and underneath that is what was going through my noggin while I was putting the page together. Little secret insights into the crazy process. And so all of these pages, I had to go through and scan all the original art again to get to be able to show the difference between the two and to show the progression therein. So I just thought it might be interesting to folks, the processes along the way, not just what I was thinking, but what the initial idea was as suggested, the page as presented, but then there's also the original forms of art, like the fish and the two guys drawn in pencil crayon and the 2 fish painted in acrylic have these hard line outlines around them in the composition, and then the fish are repeated again and again and again. But that's the finished process, and so the original process didn't have that. So I just wanted to show the differentiation of how things start off and how things finish, what the suggestion was, and what went through my noggin. So, just to sort of give an overview of the whole engagement part of it, the whole interactive process of it. This is a lot of fun. Like the jockey one that was suggested by Chris K from Mexico there, she said, the jockey's on the horse, the action's going to the left, the head is light brown, the jockey's leaning on the neck. Very clear descriptions, but that action to the left thing is in contradiction to Western style comics that go to the right. So to defy the Western world's convention of reading left to right, I had the jockey riding backwards on the horse, so that I still followed the instruction, but I had to make some sort of adjustment for it. The jockey subsequently falling off is seen by the European commentators. That part was extra fun. This page is digitally colored pencils. So, I hope that's interesting to folks. Like all of this these colored guys, these two cavemen talking, just a green pencil line art. And while it looks like he's holding up the hamburger, it's actually two different images that are stitched together. So just, it's sort of like opening the door and letting people in on what, some of the behind the scenes of what I get up to. But that's fun, because like I've always said, there's no secrets here. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm ever not sharing with you whatever it is I'm doing. Because I want to encourage everybody out there to do their own thing. Oh, it's the name of the page. Yeah, I want to encourage everybody out there to be able to to be able to go out and to find whatever they can get from this to go on and create their own work. And so with a page like this, there's the title suggestion. The title is from the suggestion itself. When it comes to expressing, this might be an important page to read. When it comes to expressing a perspective I have on life, seldom do I do so from a serious viewpoint. Surprise. I find you can get people to pay a little more attention if you give them a fun aspect to the page. This page is done in white and black inks on a colored cardstock. So, and then the rest of it, the assembly and all that's digital, right? So it's a lot of fun. And I'm just trying to show all of the different kinds of approaches that we take, and featuring a whole bunch of different pages, and then disclosing, like here's original line art, turns into these graphic elements, and assembling those panels together on the page, and putting these coloring effects on there. It's all just part and process. Some things are straightforward, like pencil crayon, drawn in pencil crayon, finished like this. Just put on some borders and some text. So it's different applications and different pages. I drew this in green. I transferred the green to a finish in gray. So it's a lots and lots and lots. But I hope people like it. I hope people don't forget to buy a copy for their grandma too. I don't know. I gotta come up with a better sales pitch for sure. But I'm really happy with the quality of the printing. I'm really happy with the all of the ins and outs about the production of it. I really am. We're going to figure out ways in order to say thank you to people that are picking up copies, and trying to figure out little things that I can do in order to just show you how much I appreciate it. We've talked about doing prints that I'll sign and mail, whatever else. But here, look how happy this bear is. Look how happy you've made this bear. Anyways, Pit of Fear. That's this page. Look at that happy ostrich. There you are. We put a bunch of these pages in 500 years from now. There's a number of those that are in the book, and this is the craziest character I think I've ever come up with, and I just have him recurring throughout as we do each of these different 500 pages. He's the guy that resurrects Elvis. He's the guy that tries to convince kids that rocks are cool. There it is. just a ridiculous character, but a lot of fun. So there you go. So there's lots and lots of stuff coming out, and I'm really, it's a sort of a feeling of completion. It's a sort of feeling that we got things to that state that I've been sort of working towards, where there it is. It's been a heck of a road to get here, but there we go. And I've already got a start on the next book. So, and the next book will also be it'll be the same size. Everything will be the same. It's just it'll be all new pages. So, and I'm making sure to scan and keep the original art on pages now, so that I don't have to go back and scan it all again for the next project. So that was a learning curve. There's a few things that I can show people today, but I was also wondering if there's anything specific that anybody would be interested in seeing any books on, because it's one thing to have this big old space with this sort of library I've been collecting over, well, almost 2 decades now. And if there's any kinds of books or any creators that you're interested in seeing, let me know and we'll pull them out right now. But in the meantime, I got a couple other things I can show you. Chris says, hello. Hi, Chris. Welcome aboard. Chris, I saw you jumped in on Patreon. Thank you so much for that. Gary says, congrats on the new book being done. Order my copy next week. Wow, I appreciate that, Gary. That's very nice of you. Thank you. Yeah, thanks again, and thanks for all the encouragement and support, folks, that people have been expressing. I'm a little overwhelmed, but that's okay. It's a good overwhelmed. It could be a bad overwhelmed, you know. Everybody goes, dead. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? I've been wrestling with my low blood sugar this morning because a lot of thinking makes you use up sugar fuel in your body because your brain's a muscle, and so it has given me a good reason to have Girl Guide cookies. If you're not familiar with Girl Guide cookies, I'm so sorry, but Girl Guide cookies, come on. Few things in this world are yummier than a cookie sold to you by a young person wearing a box as a hat, which is exactly what happened to us when we bought some Girl Guide cookies. And it supports some young ladies going out and adventuring into the world and finding all kinds of outdoor skills. So, super. Chris says, yeah, now I need an international card. Oh, wow. Cool. What? Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I never thought about things like that. Okay, so I've shown you some of this. Cookies, yummy, yeah. It's, look at, even on the box, it says, everything she wants to be. Pour qu'elle ait à boire de ses rêves. So yeah, so anyway, so I got a whole bunch of things I could show people. I'm kind of keen to do so. There's creators I haven't talked about before that I've got kicking around in the studio here. And this is a book that just, when I picked it up, it just sort of floored me. It's Art Adams' book. I'm going to pull this camera up and out a bit just so we can get the whole cover in. Well, at least most of it. Arthur Adams is one of those. Yeah, Chris says, I'd rather have a cake. And Will, my birthday's next Thursday. Oh, happy birthday in advance, in case I forget, because I'm not good with remembering dates and stuff. But happy birthday. I think that's super fun. April 25th. What? Something about that date sticks out in my head, too. Well, of course it does. It's Chris's birthday. Arthur Adams is one of those artists that I had a big influence on me in my teens, and really enjoyed his work and his staging and his really interesting line art, and but primarily it was the way that he put characters together. Now, his proportions are interesting, I've always found, on his characters, but over time, you know, there's been absolutely no loss in ability and skill for this creator. So, Chris says, oh my god, the cover looks great. Oh yeah, well, there you go. So that's Art's work here. This is a colored image, but his way of drawing characters, like this is his mojo, for anybody that's aware of the X-Men characters. But he's the guy behind Longshot. Pardon me for my coughing. I'm still working on that throat of mine coming back. But he just had a really clean design sensibility. He went on to create a book called Monkey Man and O'Brien for Image Comics, part of the Legend banner. John Byrne did the X-Men. Mike Mignola did Hellboy. That's where that all came from. And but his run on the X-Men was just a lot of fun. Like, this is one of the most classic X-Men images that are out there. and it's the first two groups. It's the core, the original group, and their assembled cast, because you've got Polaris in there, you've got Havoc in there, and then there's the new X-Men, which appeared in 1979. So the new X-Men are an old X-Men now, but and there's been all kinds of them added since over the years. But just his art and his approach to things and his use of interesting. I'm going to zoom in on this one because it's just kind of over the top. Look at the decorative elements that make up these two guys shooting solar energy at each other, I guess. It's just fantastic. All of these little black dots and big, circles. And anyhow, great artist. And it's one of those books where you can just flip through it, and if you remember these things from back in the day, they really just sort of, just remind you of all these great stories that you might have read at some point. I want my X-Men. I got it. Took a second. But there's Mojo. And great character. It's sort of very similar to like the X-Men's version of Jabba the Hutt, I guess. And I guess so. And then there's the alternate gender X-Men. Just that he just manufactures these, and yeah. Oh, here's my robot version of them. Here's all of them in the little Naughty the Nice costumes, and then he comes up with the anthropomorphic versions of them, and then settles on the X-Babies, which is again another thing that Arthur Adams is responsible for introducing into contemporary storytelling in comics. 1960s, you'd always have Superman's reduced to a baby or things like that. 1950s, 1940s primarily, and but this is in the 1980s, and the X-Babies just kept reappearing, and now you've got then you had Superboy and Robin having their own book, and in course of those adventures, there was a number of issues where there's all kinds of little kid versions of everything, but this is the first time I remember it. Anyhow, but look at that. They're young, they're proud, they're cantankerous. They are the mighty X-Babies. So good fun. Great artist. Look at how complex the imagery is here. Of all these monstrous guys chasing them through these crazy streets of steampunk, and there's a pirate ship in the air, and there's a Ricochet Rita running, trying to get all these kids to safety. Just so much fun. My hand in the way. Am I making it blur out? Is this going to improve it? No? I'm sorry. How's that? Well, let's just switch to the zoom. Look at all the all the interesting shape language. They really are kids. Really are kid versions. And there she is running, and there's all the crazy information in the background. Hi, Linda. Welcome aboard. So, this is just lots of art showing a lot of Arthur Adams' time on the books and the different titles, different interpretations of the characters. This is the ultimate stuff. Here's legacy stuff. Look at that. Look at the classic Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and the Sentinels. Oh, scary robots. The old X-Men, right? Just good fun. But the secret truth behind Arthur Adams is that he is an absolutely huge Godzilla and big kaiju monster type fan, and with that, that's what he loves drawing. He's drawn a number of those books in the last 10-15 years, but this was what he loved more than anything when he was a kid growing up and drawing. And so that's why he's got all this kind of really defined ability to draw scales and weird claws and appendages, and just great information in his drawing. Look at that. There's a big old shark think he's asking, can you brush my teeth? I don't know. I haven't read this book, I don't think. So that's how I'm going to read this story. Oh, do you want to brush those teeth? You get out of it what you get out of it, right? There you go. Different versions of the X-Men over the years. This is them trying to reinterpret the original X-Men 10 years ago. And not, it's sort of successful. Sort of not. Oh, this guy looks hungry. He's eating them little people. I don't know. But this is what I'm talking about again with the giant monster stuff, right? Venom. Yeah, there you go. So, Arthur Adams, this is one of these guys. And there's the original pencils, the original roughs for that really popular image. And there are the inks for that really popular image. And you can see how he's changed and added all the New Mutants and additional characters to this one. There's a new version of it, right? But there's the original layout. And that's what I showed you right there. That's this. And then here are the pencils. Look at that. Just finding the form for everything. So yeah, Art Adams. And then the other two would be George Perez for me and John Byrne. And, and Alan Davis. Those were the guys that sort of had some impact on when I was reading the super books back in the day. And, it was just kind of a different stylistic approaches. Now, I really, really loved Alan Davis's work. I liked Art Adams, right? John Byrne's like a staple. George Perez like a staple. But this is a British artist. And he comes to things with a British sensibility in his work. Very similar to a lot of the European stuff that I've shown you over time. And then when he gets into... we've even got some Doctor Who in here. You have to. You can't be English without drawing Doctor Who. So then he gets into drawing the Marvel characters and the DC characters and creating his own characters. Creates Captain Britain with Mark... I think it's Mark Farmer that he does that with. I'm not sure if Mark wrote that. Who wrote? But D.R. and Quench is a heavy metal characters, and from 2000 AD. Sorry, not heavy metal. Did lots of Strontium Dog. He did some of those. So then he gets into inventing this guy, Captain Britain, who's basically like your Superman type for Britain. And all kinds of interesting characters. Like, she's got 4 arms, that gal. So, their names are Laser Eraser and Press Button, by the way. So again, another 2000 AD book. But just a cool style. So then he starts getting into some of this sort of superhero books, but the way he draws it is with this British sensibility, which is a little more dark, but it also allows a lot more blacks in there, a lot more black ink than we were seeing in contemporary books at the time, because he's doing this the same time Alan Davis is doing those very bright colored open backgrounds on the Arthur Adams is doing those bright colored open background pieces in the X-Men, and Alan Davis is doing this gritty bit of business. And so when he comes over to the X-Men, he brings these sort of sensibilities where he's really pushing the work. See if I can find some of those. There's this Clandestine. This is his own created property. They've appeared in the Marvel Universe with a bunch of their characters because Alan owns these. There's this Aquaman that he created with a really crazy costume. So he's doing work for both companies. He did a book called There's Robin Year One that he did, which is really great stuff. But you can see these really great shadows, lots of dark shape language and form, and Here's where he starts doing Excalibur and introducing all kinds of great art. One of the like you see, you've got Doctor Who characters here, and then in this one, this is a swashbuckling adventure that the one Superior X team goes on, Excalibur goes on, but he introduces all these elements from John Carter, Warlord of Mars, which is Edgar Rice Burroughs novels that I read when I was a young pup. So it's just a really unique style of drawing with this really solid sense of form. That there's all the bodies have dimension to them. And then of course my favorite books under the sun growing up was Legion of Superheroes. And they're as cliche and silly as you can think of. The characters are Cosmic Boy and Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl and Ultra Boy, like the boy, girl, lad, lass. And they were all inspired by Superboy, you know. But look at all the different versions of them. Just fun in the sun. I'll zoom in on that because you need to see them. But there's a diverse range of characters here with all kinds of different shapes to their form. You know, different weights and body types. You know, there's a bug dude, right? And yet, you know, everybody has this sort of unique quality to their characters. There's your 60s version, there's the contemporary version when he was drawing these covers at the time. So amazing stuff. And they all look so happy flying, right? Yeah, because it's that whole 1960s, let's go, gang, kind of a nonsense. Indeed. And he still draws some Judge Dredd. I am the law. If you have a chance, if you want to see Judge Dredd done right, don't watch the Sylvester Stallone version. Watch the Carl Urban one. I tell you, that should have continued on into a series because they completely captured this character. This character was created to exemplify the over potentially fascistic elements of a capitalist culture in a world where things go so far that you know, there's this chosen select few that are the judge, jury, executioner types that represent the law, and the law is absolute, and it has this sort of crazy, you know, the big eagle on the shoulder thing, and the big badge, and the whole taking the sheriff aesthetic and pushing it way too far. But brilliant books. There's a lot of really amazing stories in there about the futility of situations sometimes, and that film captures it. It's extreme, it's a little over the top and graphic, but it captures this book series in all of the furthest examples of it. So Chris says, I'd like to fly. I'll visit a lot of people with no visa or passport. Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? To be able to fly like that, but I'm sure that pretty quickly they'd figure out ways to get these flying people to stop at, you know, borders. Gary says that Carl Urban one is great. It really is. It really is. And he never takes his mask off because Dredd never does. You know, here's powerful pencil work here, folks. This is a vertical layout. It's a 2-page spread. It's a vertical layout for each of the pages, but this alien is explaining to you these situations that happen in the order that they do, crosses over to the second page, you know, and takes it to the full extreme of the story. Jim says, Christopher, I thought you were at Coachella. I still am. Boy, oh boy. I secretly going up and unplugging DJ's equipment. DJs. Anyways. Pardon me. So again, more Legion cover work, more Excalibur cover work, Flash, some of the way he designs characters. And again, look at the examples of just playing with form. And they got great names. Like there's Body Bag, there's Joy Boy. Here's some of his Legion versions. So yeah, so again, if anybody's joined late, I put the link up. The book is available now on Amazon. Thank you very much for all the support and encouragement, everybody. I appreciate it. But I was thinking that I would be telling everybody it was going to be available tomorrow, and it said, no, it's on now. And I'm like, wow! So I had to put the links up everywhere. So I hope, people take a gander. Look at this is a loose sketch breakdown of pages. And so this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying to people, allow yourself this. Okay? If you can put together this, sketch and scribble together your panels, okay, get a structure of the page and how the actions would work together, play around with the panel shapes and overlaps and things like that, and then, if you want to take another sheet of paper, lay it over top, and tighten that up a little bit. Tighten up your lines. They don't have to be perfect, okay? They're just pencils, so you can still do them rather loosely, but it will help you. And then take that a little farther if you want and clean that up just a little bit more. I mean, look at the form in this guy's cape. What's his Barkman? No, Batman. No, Batman. I think he should have a bat. Jim says congrats on the book. Thank you. Linda says congrats. Thank you. You dropped your album the same day Taylor Swift dropped her album. I hope it doesn't affect her sales. I saw a video of someone challenging people to draw hippopotamus upside down and also to reverse the word. And it reminded me of the car spaceship. Oh yeah? Yeah. It's a fun challenge. It's a fun approach to allow yourself different ways of approaching process, right? Like taking an image of something, flipping it upside down and trying to make it something else, or flip it over. If you have the capability, like a light table or something like that. I'm not even going to try to pronounce hippopotamus in Spanish. Because I don't want to do that disservice. But that is a cool word. So if you can flip it over, look at it, you can hold a piece of paper up to a window and now try to make something else out of that. Now, some of it's just going to look like you're reversing a drawing, but you could also try to draw it in reverse. Like if you've got a dark silhouette in this area and lightly drawn in images on that side, this is an opportunity for you to put the silhouette, like to reverse the silhouette and try the other part silhouetted out. In this part, you draw in all the lines for that section that was previously blacked out. So try things like that. You never know how that's going to progress. You never know what you're going to find and where that's going to go. So that enables you to have new avenues to explore in your line making and your drawing, right? There's a really rough line work, does the job, defines the characters, tells the story, and then he goes through and cleans it up and makes it much more complex. I wish I could get that to be a little clearer, but very fine lines and very late in the book that I'm using to show you. So yeah, Alan Davis is one of these guys that I've always been a fan. Here's a little art gallery for you. Let me pull out for that. Okay, so here's some of his character work. All these different characters he's created over time, worked on over time. Just look at this here. I'm going to zoom in on this one because look at the beautiful ink work done by Mark Farmer. Look at that. Isn't that something, eh? Got this lady who's like she's called Phoenix, flying into this space Cyrillic pattern, but look at the shadow, how that works almost in a Cyrillic pattern on her face as she's flying towards the object. And you wouldn't ideally, not ideally, but you wouldn't immediately recognize that this pattern is emulative of this pattern. Why? Because he's good. So yeah, chances to see work like that are just well worth the time. Look at the shading in the faces, all from the same external light source, right? Which is up that way. And then a bunch of cover work. Here's one of his Avengers covers. But look at the difference in the different character types. The broadness of Thor, giant man behind him. Look at his Inhumans. Really great way of interpreting these characters. Now, there's a similarity in his line work. There really is. There's a similarity in the form. Who's stronger, Phoenix, Jean Grey, or Superman? Phoenix ate a son. So, I'm leaning towards her. There's some development sketches for X-Men covers, and look at him being a funny guy with the cigarette smoking and you know, great stuff. Yep. So there's Alan Davis. So you got Art Adams. You got hold on, one more. She's wearing a crown like she's the queen. There she is, holding her Joy Boy character with the unicorn, the swan, the bunnies. Just the Red Queen is the character, and she's always yelling, "Oh, lift your head," because it's a very British book. But yeah, Alan Davis, Art Adams, good guys, brilliant creators. You know, let's see, what else have I got? Show you Howard Porter. This is here's some John Byrne. Now, this is a thick book. This is John Byrne's Generation series. This book is much thicker than my book. Oh my goodness, holy guacamole, look at the size difference. So this is John Byrne, pop back out, doing the Superman, Batman characters as though this time would pass as regular in that world. And so Batman and Superman, having appeared 1938, 1940, they would age in real time. And so you would see multiple generations of their families. And so that's what this book is. It's a collection of all of the issues and all of the supporting characters. And it's an Elseworld story where, you know, pardon me, the original Batman costume is being worn here with the little bat ears and the static wings, the locked-in wings, so that it always looks like he's got bat wings all up in the air. And so it starts with that original aesthetic, and then it goes through the different styles of costumes over time. So there's this 1940s look. You know, there's Superman with a small ass shield on his chest, where he can't fly, but he can jump really far. And Lois Lane, of course, always the damsel in distress back then, right? And then he just takes it through time. But that's a Byrne explosion right there. Anybody that remembers comics from the 1970s, 80s, specifically remembers every time an explosion happens in a Byrne book, it looks like this. And there's a whole generation of artists that grew up enjoying Byrne's book that all draw explosions this way. That's how impactful that was. There's the old school version of the Joker. So this goes through decade after decade. And so here's the 1949 version of everybody. Dick Grayson's grown up to be you know, his own adult version of Robin now, and still wearing the leotards. So then each generation, there's another Byrne explosion. So there's the 1959 versions, and this is where you start getting into the different 59 looking costumes. But we're also, Dick is now the Batman, and Bruce's son is now Robin. Like, it just keeps, look at that Super Frankenstein giant monster version of Superman. This is the stuff I was talking about from the 50s, 60s, crazy. Today, this month's episode of the Superman book, he's a baby, you know. One of my favorite comic, and if this technology that you see and the way that people are being disrupted and this kind of technology, this is absolute staple John Byrne style of art. Yeah, just great stuff. I can't remember what I was going to say just before that. I got caught up in that. But this is the sort of capturing a hold of each decade and stylistically what those decades look like. So then we start getting into the 1970s where the characters, you know, have all got these great physiques like Neil Adams characters, and just crazy, over the top, extreme punchy violence, and too much, too big. And then the 80s, this is prime Byrne period. Look at that, it's another Byrne explosion. But, you know, Byrne's there's his version of Lex Luthor as he gets older. Loved that version of Luthor, by the way. 1999. Again, this, you can just see the labor of love that this is for this guy, and as he just keeps moving along with each decade, and just shaking it up and developing the characters more. And then he does flashbacks. There's 1942, and there's World War II stuff with super machine, you know, Nazi machine robots, and, well, just absolute crazy Byrne. But it's great stuff. This version of monsters, this version of little mole people and things like that, highly influential work for people that would, you know, read in the 70s and 80s a lot of the books, and he was at the top of his game, and a bit of a difficult guy to get along with, but he's incredibly creative. There's an appearance from some of the Legion characters. Saturn Girl. Yeah, just great work. And then when he goes into the future, notice that more and more is it looking like this kind of illustration work where it's all just components, all just little shape language. Chris asks, so are the great-grandchildren in charge now? Yeah, at this point, these are the great-great-grandchildren. By the time we're in 2020 or whatever this is now. And the New Gods characters that Jack Kirby created are all involved, and, you know, Darkseid, and see, again, look at the crazy complexity of everything at this point now. Dark and moody, and just great creator. This to me is kind of like the opus. This is the full zenith point of what he wanted to do, and I've encouraged people lately to look up. John Byrne continued the X-Men books in the last so many years of his retirement. He picked it right up from where he left the books, and he does those online, and I told people what the link for that was. I hope people have had a chance to check those out, but it's crazy. It's literally crazy that he just picked it up directly after he left the book. And what was that, 81 or 82? I don't know what it was, but it was a while ago. See, these are all New Gods. That's where you see Mr. Miracle. This is the Jack Kirby stuff. This is his characters. Just good. I don't want to spoil the ending. Anyhow, and see, there's even more characters on the back. Blonde Bat Woman / Wonder Woman. There's the Flash's daughter. Alternate, you know, Green Lantern. You know, all these different Bat people. Yeah, just fun. So that's one of the other staples from growing up. Where do I have George Perez's book? See, I have half these in one place and half of them in the other. Yeah, that's Tim. Alphabet's hard. And of course, you know, Alex Ross has done these things too, but Alex Ross didn't show up for yet another 10 years or so. This is Neil Adams. Now, I got the chance to meet Neil Adams. What do I got? I got his Monsters. Here, I'll do a Savage sketchbook. So I got the chance to meet Neil Adams, and we had him as a guest at the London Con here, and I took him to go and buy a dozen hamburgers at 8 o'clock at night because he was going to be doing commissions all night long, and so he would just fuel himself through the evening with hamburgers. Great guy, him and his wife. It's passed on now. George Perez is passed on now. A lot of these artists that I really enjoyed growing up are all, they're all getting on there in the years and so. But here's Neil Adams' work, and you can see how his sense of form and proportion is changed. It had a real effect on the industry, and because he tried to make everybody look a little more realistic in their shapes and less bulbous superhero stuff like you've seen in Adams, you've seen in Byrne, you've seen in Davis. So, Adams came at it different. And here's his Tarzan. And Tarzan is meant to represent the ultimate zenith in physical attributes. And yet, his Tarzan drawing looks like most superheroes drawn by the previous three artists that I showed you. Which, just shows you how they tried to really exaggerate superheroes' physique, right? But Adams, just a great sensibility in his line work. Here's a guy fighting a lizard man. Ouchie. Yeah. Big fan. He was a graphic designer. He was an ad man. And so he brought that graphic, commercial design of a application into sequential work into comics, and big affectation to it. Here's this Conan. Good stuff, good lines, great sense of contrast. Here's his roughs. He's drawing roughs in what looks like marker, and that's pretty on point for graphically drawing something in marker. So, but again, I got a car crashing on the cars. Great stuff. But yeah, I've got a few Neil Adams books. This is Conan saying, "Look at my teeth. I spent a lot of money on this dental work." And then there's the pencil of it, so you can see how close the pencils are to that finished ink. It's all there. It's all in the pencils. Yeah, great stuff. Anyhow, so this is some of the creators that I thought I'd show you today. I will pull out some George Perez, and I will pull out some who else did I refer and not bring out? I think it was just Davis, Byrne, Adams. Oh, Paul Smith was another guy. Paul Smith's X-Men work was just phenomenal. And, I read a lot. Anyways, so, okay. So I've got a whole bunch of different pages, different types of paper here, a bunch of half-completed things I will eventually get done, I promise. But I've got the magic book here. So, Zimmer from the Future is completed, so I'll remember to strike this one off in the book this time instead of finding 6 or 7 things in the book that I forgot to strike off before. Suspension Playground. Late for the Migration, that's funny. Unless anybody has a suggestion that they want to throw at me today, please feel free to do so. We'll put it in the book if we don't get at it today. But, still trying to... A giant man playing with his hat. Wheels, ducks. He's flooded everything and lost his keys. That is a lot. A giant man playing with his Hot Wheels and ducks in the bathroom flooded everything and lost. Did I do that one? There's Zimmer from the Future. Let's get that checked off right now. So yeah, so if there's creators that you enjoyed reading growing up, like I've shown people like Frank Frazetta, I've shown people like, Alex Ross isn't from my youth, but Jeff Jones, Frank Frazetta, some of these artists, in addition to a lot of the classics, the pre-Raphaelites, big Caravaggio fan. Deborah Harry invades the actual Blondie strip. I'll write that down, Jim. Does she do it in a wrap? Does she carry a bow and arrow? That's fun. If anybody didn't get a chance to, Jim was on the Artcasters last night, so if you look at Josh Kimball's channel, you can see the interview they had with Jim. Invades the actual pardon me, Blondie's trip. I got a drink in a second. Got a little drink right here. Jim L. Okay, so press the red button, Howard. Which is a funny sentence. Should do haunted bow tie. Maybe I should actually just man up and do haunted bow tie. Freemason theories, the skull and bones. Could do that. Trying to just make sure I clear off a lot of these older ones. The White Apes of the Congo. I think that's a Gary suggestion. Mr. Hodges, Dr. Hodges. A tribute band to a tribute band. There's footage that came out recently of an Australian group that do Beatles covers. That they're covering Johnny Cash in style of the Beatles. If you get a chance, Johnny Cash is as done by the Beatles. Look it up. It's kind of funny. Really waiting for my sailor husband. Talking hockey dog named Doug. Yeah, I'm leaning towards that one. That's kind of fun. A talking hockey dog named Doug. I think I did one for Yolanda recently, though. That's the trick, right? Who wrote me as who did that? Me as a hula dancer. Get out of here. Oh, I did my chauffeur as a bear. That's done. Man. Go for an elephant or arguing over a poop spot. Puckby thinks he's getting adopted by a family. Alright, what was that one I'd said out loud, the last one? Late? Was it late for the migration? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do late for the migration. I don't know. I didn't write down who suggested it. Well, let's do this one. It's an older one. Late for the migration. Let me know if anybody wants to see any more pages out of the new book. There's today's suggestion. Late for the migration. Is there anything that there's a lot of stuff in that booklet? There sure are. Well, last year we did 358 pages. And this year we are on number 120. So, you know, they add up. They do add up. But I try to write them as many as I can remember find in one spot. And so there's upwards of 5, 8 on a page, and Okay, late for the migration. Is there any specific want that anybody has for how I go about doing this? Is there a surface you'd like to see me work on, like a jelly plate or a certain mark making medium to work in? Just let me know. Different colored cardstocks or whatever else, you know. I'm easy like Lionel Richie. Easy like Sunday morning. Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff that we can work with here. I'm leaning towards nothing specifically. Anything goes. Otherwise, I'll just get crack-a-lacking on something. There was one with a shower. Maybe we'll have somebody showering too long. There it is. There's the one. All right. So let's. There we go. I don't need my notes about passport stuff. All right. So I've got this jelly-plated image here. And the suggestion for today is late for the migration. So I'm just going to throw together some things. So what I find helps when working on mixed, like on a jelly-plated surface, is that what I find helps is to use like Posca pens and to use jelly roll pens in order to pull back some of the light areas, as well as to put down the dark marks with different, you know, mark making tools. It's made with a magazine transfer. Yeah, it was. There's a whole bunch of things here. Let me see if I can try to remember. There's a picture of a bathroom, and I think it's a bathroom, and then this is, I smushed paper on in this one little spot. This is a coffee making machine, a coffee grinder, I think. I'm trying to remember, but there's a bunch of different things that I've thrown down on the same surface. Oh, and this patterning here is from paper towel being laid on it as it's drying. So trying different stuff and seeing what comes together. And this is one of the better jelly plate images that might have happened, you know, might have worked out. So what we're going to do is we'll break this up a little bit, and we're going to change its scale. So I think that having someone looking into the mirror, and then we'll have to draw the reflection of them in the mirror, will work for this panel. And then I think that having the guy in the shower singing away would work in this panel. And, you know, to say, you're going to be late, dear. I know, dear. Well, right? And, you know, and then we can have another close shot of him with water hitting him in the face, you know. And then we can, you know, so you don't have to stick with whatever's on the image. You can use some of it, but you don't have to stick with it. So we'll put a panel across here that says, you're going to be late for the migration, you know. And, I mean, we could even have him dress up in a duck costume, you know. Or have them both dressed up in duck costumes. I don't know. Whatever. It's we'll figure it out as we go. But let's start with this. And unless anybody has other ideas that we utilize, you know, we can. If you got suggestions about different ways we can approach this. But let's try putting a dude in a shower and seeing what that gives us. because, you know, why not? But I'm going to warn you now, you know, there might be some bare shoulders or business going on with this guy. So just brace yourself. We're gonna get ooh today. A little bit of whoa, huh? A little bit of hey now. So let's chop up these panels a little bit. Huh? And give ourselves some space on the page. Is that gonna be, yeah, a little higher. You know. So we'll put a line across here. Now I've got a red Sharpie, I got a red pen. Suzanne is having a good chuckle there. Is it the duck costumes that got you? What? I'll put a panel across here, and then we'll figure out what to do down the bottom later. But we've got a nice panel figured out in here, and then we'll run one up the center as well. Let's divide this by thirds, relatively. Ish. So I love these rulers, this type of ruler. I own a couple of them because it lets you, once you've put one line down, you can square another one off of it, because there's so many different ways to tie the rulers together across your, or the ruling lines across almost the entire surface of the ruler itself, so you don't have to try to get in a contrived positions reaching to the outside edge. As soon as you got one line down, you're going to be able to put nice square down lines down for the rest of it. So for people like me, that makes it a lot easier. Okay, so here we go. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be a broad panel across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can sort of see what's going on. Now, even with these spaces that are as supplied as they are, with all this information, okay, and we're working, like, let's just do this center one to start with. So even with all of this little bits of information here, this page goes up to here, okay, this panel, I'm so sorry, starts here. So it's the width of the screen right now, the height of the screen right now is the size of the panel. And we've got some of these shower things, but they don't matter. We can relocate those, right? So you don't have to be locked into this for figuring out the scale of your character. But we want to use this much space. Like let's the way that I'm trying to encourage it is, if you're looking at a panel, leave roughly a third of a panel space. Now, it doesn't have to always be blank across the top. That's not what I'm saying. Leave some place in your panel, 1/3 of it, that you know is going to be covered up by text. And then, of course, your text amount needs to be governed accordingly to fit in within 1/3 of the space of a panel. Anything more than that, and it becomes just incredibly verbose, for one thing, and the focus is more on the writing than the fusion of the writing and the art. If there's not enough text in there, if it's not for a specific purpose, like you want to draw heightened attention to the visual imagery, so you put less text in that panel, but you just have sparse text everywhere, you're not capitalizing on the fusion between words and pictures. So just try to imagine, as a bit of a rule of thumb, that 1/3 of your panel space is where you want to be able to fit your words. And something like that might help with trying to figure out how much writing can I put on there. It's a thing that I notice with a lot of people when they're sort of starting, that they might not keep in mind. It's important you do so. So in this panel here, I'm going to play a little bit with this. I think I might want to try roughly scribbling things in pen, just because we can. And so if this is going to be like, rather than overly focusing on drawing all the specifics, let's just scribble it down, and that way we're sort of on our way to the finished image, but we're going to clean it up a lot more. Now I've got a Fudenosuke red pen that we can use. I've got I've got a whole bunch of silly little tools that we can get involved here. Some China marker, red China marker. We'll just try different stuff, but let's rough in our illustration to start with, and let's let those scribble lines be incorporated in, because the last couple of pages are a little tighter. So let's be a little sloppier today. Let's be a little more abstract, and that way we can have it look a little bit different than the thing we just did. And then we'll incorporate a lot of these other tools to tighten it a little bit. Whoops, I'm so sorry, that's off panel. So here I'm drawing the overhead, the shower head, as it's raining down upon him. So here's our glubbity glub glub in the shower panel. And so we're going to put the back of his neck, and there we are under the shoulder blades. And here's his, we'll lose that line in a minute, but here's his upper body. And we can continue some of this pattern here. Am I in? No, I'm off camera again, sorry. We can continue some of this pattern here into the image, just like so. So that, and we can put a faucet handle there. It'd be a little high for it to be up there. But here's our rough scribbly dibble for this first panel that we're trying to draw. Third panel on the page, but first panel that we're trying to scribble. And so am I zoomed in there? Yeah, so you can see how loose the lines are that we're using, right? Because we can. And so how do we want to do them? Do you want to do them with the whole washing the armpits, or the whole this look? A couple different ways we can go about it, I guess. Yeah, okay, well, I'm just going to do one of these. So if this is the edge of this panel, and this is the edge of this panel, we'll do a different, see, we're going to continue in roughly the same amount of space, and then we'll put him washing his hair. I saw a funny strip years and years ago where there's a gal, basically the gist of the joke in the whole page is that the one lady had been through a breakup, and her friend is trying to console her, and you take care of him in there, girl. And the other lady's in the shower, and there's a little tiny man who's falling, down as she's washing that man right out of her hair. It very much of its time, very silly joke, but that still sticks with me all these years later. This panel, it's one of those absurd little jokes that, while they might work for the reference to the commercials that they were referring to for people of a certain age, it just, the expression, it still works contemporarily because of the expression. But I just thought it was so funny when it was done back then. Okay, so we're going to come in, and we're using this panel. So we're going to cut the line here. We don't have to draw into the other panel because we got the idea. We know that his muscles and his arm and all that business goes through here. Now you can draw it and sort of overlap the images one into the next. That's also an application that can be done. But we just want to get show the gist. Uh-oh, a little bit of nudity here, folks. This fella's not wearing a shirt. Don't be afraid, everybody. He's just trying to get clean. He's a clean young man. Close his eyes. It's Friday. I wonder if people have got big plans for the weekend. Has anybody got any big dramatic things that they're going to do? So I'm going to eliminate these cabinets from this panel. I'm going to continue this motif. And we'll take those out. I had a postcard, didn't I? Well, I got lots of I got an oil-based one, actually. Maybe I still got juice in it. You got juice in you? Ooh, I like it. A little blendy. So, this guy might be dead. He's dead, and out of this world. Yeah, you're toast. Da, 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 da. Chris says, plans, essay marking, and lesson plans. 3 weeks to the end of term. Oh, it's exciting. That's exciting stuff. So more red mark making tools. So this is what I'm sort of gathering up here, folks, is this random assembly of things. And I've got a white Sharpie here to use. White, come on out, brand new. Did I shake it up enough? That was dramatic. Oh, I see white. Yeah, it's happening. It's all happening. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to take out some of this existing information that's in here. You know, push that back, push that a little bit. It's nice that some of that stuff is in there, but it doesn't suit what we're drawing in this panel, so away it goes. So yeah, happy day. The big job that my youngest has been working on. There's been a bridge that cuts through the center. There's a road that cuts through the center of the city, and it has been rerouted for a year or two, something, I don't know. And as they're digging underneath the railroad tracks so that we can drive under the tracks and no longer have this street held up by a train. And our youngest got work on that site to, for building us this tunnel. And today, that opens. So, very exciting. It's the kind of thing that people are going to be like, let's go see what it looks like now and drive on it. So, Lori and I are going to do that. for the excitement where you can get it when you get to a certain age, I think. So here's our guy coming in now. So I'm just using this white to, you know, and I'm tamping it down so it still lets some of those lines bleed through. But what I'm doing is making some of these little bits of imagery that don't work with our new image that we're putting over top of it. So we're cutting those lines back so that we can see our fella having a shower here. Hold on. All right, everybody take it easy. I don't appreciate one-page stories with nudity, Christopher. There we go. So here's our fella coming together now. Scribbly dibbling him. Just, you know, we're not worried about that being precise and stuff like that. We're letting that rough factor kick in there. So, Chris, you got lots of marking to do. You're a really great teacher, Chris. Other people would be like, "Hey, I'm going to a beach." I don't want to get too much away about my big plans, but they involve a lawn and a mower. Okay, so here's our guy coming in. There we go. Look like a face, kind of like a face. We're going with that. And we'll put his second arm up behind his head. There we go. So here's our fella washing his hair here. So there's a good sense of our first panel. Now we've got this shower head here. Okay, so we want to replicate the placement of that, but scale it appropriately in this panel, right? That's right, Chris. So we'll get that in there. That mounted into the old Ceylon. And then we're gonna little hits here. Now there's a couple ways I can do this. There's two different ways that I could do this part, and that is, one, I could put the water coming out of this. I could draw that with the pen or something like that, or I can apply that digitally afterwards, because I got all kinds of different little raining brushes. So, you know, we'll see. I'll see how I'm feeling about it. I may get so inspired as to just do it traditionally, but we know that it's going to happen. Alright, so we'll do the same thing here. Putting our guy in. Well, we're having some home repairs next week on the roof, and I'll try to be free to celebrate my birthday on Thursday. And not much work next weekend. Nice. Oh, you're going to try to not work much next weekend. That's a good idea. What you do, here's the secret, is you drop something as you're chatting with people. You're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's my birthday. Let me just pick that up there." That's how you let everybody know without anybody that might not ask you, "Hey, when is your birthday today?" Just try to get it out there. "Oh, geez, did I drop that? I'm sorry, it's my birthday. Let me pick that up." Or Boy, oh boy, look at the time. It's my birthday. I better get going. You can even do it with your students. Say, oh, that's a good paper you handed in. It's my birthday. I'm going to probably give you a good grade on this. I hope they give you apples. I'm pretty sure, I'm under the understanding that teachers get apples when it's a special day. Okay, so you can see how our first two panels, just a couple of little marks and scribbles and bits of business that we're getting our first two panels together here. Taking out some of these other little pieces of equipment. And so it sort of helps us to have a good sense of we're going to refine it a little bit more in the drawing of the images, but it just helps us to really get a good solid sense of where these panels are going, and little bits of additional information we'll put on those when this all dries. But yeah, feeling groovy. I'll shut it out since Monday everywhere. That's right. Yeah, that's the way to do it, Chris. Hey, how's your day going today, Loretta? It's my birthday on Thursday. Did you have a good weekend? You try that. Just start with that on Monday. just jam it down people's throats. How are you today, Chris? Oh, I hope I have a nice and calm birthday on Thursday. Did I mention it was my birthday on Thursday? Yeah. Or, I'm really looking forward to some pumpkin pie this year. Maybe on my birthday on Thursday. Yeah. There you go. Asking for a birthday freebies is good. You already have a no as an answer, but one person in some place might give you something. Yeah, might work out. Okay, so this is me coming in with this red Sharpie. And this Sharpie looks so fine. Anyways, it says it right there. So far, this drawing is all wet. Yep. Okay. I don't want to be too overwhelming with the red Sharpie. You can see how heavy that value is when you put it down. Little emphasis points here. That's where I'm using it. Some restaurants may offer you a discount with your official ID. There's a place nearby where I work downtown. I don't know if it's there anymore. It never really didn't matter anyways. But they give out free pizza on your birthday. And there's another place that gave out free ice cream. And they were about half a block away from each other, so you could, by the time you ate your pizza from the one free location, you should be able to walk right in the other and get your ice cream. There you go, free dessert, lunch and dessert that day. Chris says, the power of red compels you. There we go. So yeah, we're just doing little access points. It's kind of fun to just randomly throw together different tools as you're working on something. It might be something you might not normally do, but it does the trick. Here we go. So we've got him showering him with more of the water cascading over his face, and so despite spending a moment even doing this, I will be covering this part up with text. So it's almost like it would be counterintuitive to do so, but really we know it's there, and so I'm not locked into the words and being in a specific place. I can move them around because we've still put information in this area. Sorry to go. Time to drive to work. One more class and then back to read essays. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend, Chris. Thanks for hanging out and stopping by. So I'll just put some reflections and little value shifts on the metal of the shower head here. Put those down there, and we'll do that a little more on the other one, the smaller one of the two. There we go. And we'll come back in again, and when you put the initial red down, it smudges, or the initial white down, it will smudge out some of the red that's underneath into it. But then when you come over and do another little hits, little pokes, it pulls it allows less blending of that red, and it, pulls things forward by having that white. So it just sort of gives you a little third value in there, just because of the way that the two mediums interact. The pen and the Sharpie, the oil-based Sharpie. And not drawing just solid lines for everything gives a little closer to reality sense of how light moves about. There we go. Cleaning up those window areas over here. I got a map of a neighborhood to do this weekend, and I have a drawing of the supper at Amos to do this weekend. That's my big exciting weekend plans, is to do a couple of those, and to figure out with Lori all of the paperwork stuff about the new book, and figure out ways to promote it, and seeing maybe I'll start sending things out to online chat things and comic groups and whatever else, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not good at the promoting part. I really am not. Just sort of, hey, I did a thing. That's about as good as I get on it. There, see how it takes away all of that red information that was in there before, and we're just covering it up a little bit, and not being too worried about it all. If it bleeds through somewhat, that's okay. Figure out a way to utilize that. There we go. Jim showed the trailer last night for his new project. It was a lot of fun. There's a legendary line in that trailer at the very end of it that still cracks me up. What are you plunking at? Yeah. All right. Well, so there we go. We've got our first couple of panels here coming together, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. It's coming together pretty quickly. Yeah. So next I'll draw. The next thing that I'll be working on is putting the misses in the mirror, putting on some lip chap, whatever, and so that starts the conversation between her and him, and so we can carry over the word balloons. I'll rough it out on paper. I'll show you. Is this my scribble paper? Yes, it is. I'll show you on here what I'm talking about. So if she's in the mirror, okay, and she's leaning forward and on the counter, so if she's leaning forward here and she's putting on her lip face, and you know, she's getting ready to go in her own way, and she's looking at what, Corbin? Corbin has decided it's time for food in his face. And then so we'll reverse that and have her hand here, and then there's the raised shoulder on this side. Now it's reverse, remember, as she's putting on her lipstick in the reflection. And then what we can do is, because he's next door with his hand like so and his head like so, and he's showering here, we can have a conversation between the two of them that we get to move through the space by having her word bubbles move along like this, and then the bubbles that come from him, if they engage like so, the idea is that the reader will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, and oops, sorry, like so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But you know, here she is talking, and here he is talking. But as a reader, you know, because this is the farthest over to the left, okay, people will probably start with that and then follow that arc along the way. And because, you know, she might say, "You're going to be late for the thing. Are you listening?" And he goes, "I'm listening," you know, and "I'm almost ready." And so whether these are read out of order or not, "You're going to be late for the thing. I'm listening. Are you listening? I'm almost ready." You know, it doesn't matter if they're read out of order, these first two, but then it sort of starts, we know that this is the way it's going to go. And so as we get into that, so then we can switch by this third panel. So as we've got him here, you know, and he's in the shower, he's got the shower overhead, you know, we can have this last panel have him say something like, you know, "Besides, ... And then this balloon here is where, you know, he can have something far more explanative to say to the reader. And so because there's a sort of, as we're laying out this image, it sort of helps us to plan the course of the dialogue and to recognize that this top third or so of these panels really is going to get covered up by words, but because we've got the entirety of the image laid down underneath it, then we're not too concerned about the specific placement of it as yet, because we have the room to move things around underneath. So that's the idea. So the next thing that I'll be drawing is the wife putting on her lipstick in the mirror. And I mean, one of the things that could be done with this costume, or I'm sorry, with this broad panel right here, is that we can have, you know, the wife stand. Are you all right? What are you doing? We can have the wife, another close-up shot, I don't know, if we're putting some eye makeup on, and then in the background here we can draw the shower with the silhouette of the hubby here. and we can use use this recurring motif and have him placed behind these screens, and then do a slight silhouette of his form there. And then just continue on this dialogue about being late for the migration, and just keep incorporating the story and the narrative along. That right, that. And in that way, it by really thinking these things through as you're working, it sort of helps you to figure out where your story's going to go. Ideally, I hope that that's of help. But that's my plan on where to go with this next. But my beeper's going off that I got to go and check my blood sugar again. So that's going to be about it for me. I'll show you this one more time. Thank you very much, everybody, for all the encouraging words and support that we've already received. But we launched it today. The link is on the video here for the new book, Switching the Camera. The link is up today, so it's on Amazon now. And if people don't mind when you read these things, or putting reviews up and saying, well, this is fantastic to read while you're eating toast, or, whatever. And I gave this to my son, who usually has an ill temper, but he was happy. Anyways, whatever. But clearly I'm not good at writing reviews. Either way, all those little things help, I guess, with them recognizing that it's being engaged with. Here's just a little funny story. When my wife looked up today the book, just to make sure that the link worked before I shared it with everybody, when she looked it up today, the second book that was listed in it was somebody else named Christopher, a different last name, and it was about positive belief in your life, and she said, well, is that the book that was listed after yours? And I said, nope, mine was a book about the fawns. Because there really was. I don't know if this relates in any way to our reading styles or not. I can't think of anything that I've ever read about Arthur Fonzarelli in a nonfiction form, but I just thought that was funny. So if you're ordering it, it says you might also see what that book is, because there's a part of me that's really kind of curious what the second reference thing might come up for different people. I think that there's some funny connections to that. So, but yeah, a book about faith or a book about the fawns. Which way do we go? Yeah. Okay, that's it for me. I appreciate everybody hanging out today and taking a look at this business with me, and I hope that you all have a good weekend. I'll be posting some stuff this weekend. I'll be posting a couple extra things on Patreon, but I'll be back Monday at 2 p.m. EST, and lots of cool new things to talk about. I almost started breaking into the Mr. Rogers song there. Okay, Corbin, you ready? Corbin wants to come and say hi. Oh, I can't read down that far. Yeah, there he is. Hey everybody, what's going on, ladies? He always does that. But yeah, he needs to be fed, and I need to be fed. So, thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day. See you Monday, 2 p.m. EST. Bye for now. You're a maniac. You're a maniac.